Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting on Thursday, March 20th at 6 p.m. This is Kurt Fraskowski, Chairman, and we are calling the meeting to order. First of all, I'd like to read our announcement. This meeting of the Finance Committee will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom, meeting ID 978-772-8220, or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100, prior to the meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have in attendance Eric Zeckman, Bob France, Jin Hong, and Andrew Seeley joining us by Zoom. Okay, the first item on the agenda is, and actually I'm going to make a quick addition to this item on the agenda, if I can just throw this out for vote. I'm going to amend the agenda for review and approval of the March 6th meeting minutes plus the meeting minutes for the March 12th joint meeting. Do I have?
I move to approve the meeting minutes for both March 6th, 2020.
Right now we just need to move to approve the change to the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Okay, to include the March 12th minutes.
Okay, so I will move to approve the change of the agenda to for meeting minutes for both March 6th and March 12th.
I second that. Okay, all
Aye.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, so we have two sets of meeting minutes. The first is from our regular meeting on March 6th. Any changes, notes on that? Okay, having none, I move that we accept the March 6th meeting minutes.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. And all right, then moving on, we also have minutes from the joint meeting with Select Board on March 12th. I will note on this that, Eric, thank you, you referenced the meeting minutes prepared by the Select Board in this also, because this was a joint meeting of the Finance Committee and Select Board, so.
Maybe I had left out a few commas again.
No, this is good. I move that we accept the minutes for March 12th joint meeting.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay. The next item on the agenda is to our standing items for the committees that we sit on as Finance Committee members. Capital Planning Committee has not met since our last meeting, so there's no update on that. And then, Bob, would you want to just give us a quick note on the rate review?
Sure. Tuesday, the 18th, was a joint select person and rate representatives meeting to review and recommend that the water and sewer rates as presented by the Water and Sewer Department would be adopted and approved for presentation to town meeting. So those rates were a 2% increase on water rates with a 500,000 use of water reserves and a 2.5% increase of the sewer rates.
Very good. Okay, great. Thank you, Bob. Any questions, notes on that? Okay, good. Thank you for the update on that. Okay, moving on. The next item on the agenda is a presentation for the FY 2026 budget by the police department. And I'm going to pull this up and make this full screen. And Chief, I'll pass this on down to you.
So you have to scroll the slides yourself, okay?
Okay.
I think maybe, oh, okay, you can do it right from there.
Sure, I think.
Oh, do you want to make it full screen also?
I'm gonna do that right now. Mr. Chair, I just noticed some comments on the screen right there. There's some people talking about how they can't see us.
Ah, okay.
And looks like Max has his hand up.
Okay. Bear with me, folks. I'm not good at driving the meeting board here. Bear with me.
Can you unmute Max?
Oh, okay. Bear with me, folks.
Anybody have some insight?
Hi, Kurt, may I help you?
Yes.
On the white tablet, there should be just like a camera, and there might be a red line through it right now. You need to click on that, and that should show your faces.
Oh, got you. Got you. Okay. Bear with me, folks. Here we go. All right. How is that? Max, Eileen, Pauline, Sarah, can you folks both hear and see us?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, great, great. Great, apologize for that. I'm not used to driving the Zoom board. So, okay. So just real quick, I'm going to throw out, since Sarah, Pauline, and the iPhone, is that Pauline? Any questions that you may have missed from the beginning? Okay, again, we'll have public comments later on also. So, all right, Chief, you want to go ahead with your presentation?
Sure. Can we just, can people see the presentation, or I just want to know how much I need to narrate?
I can see you and the presentation.
Okay, good. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right. So thank you, Mr. Chair and the Finance Committee, for allowing us to present our FY26 requested budget. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of walk through our presentation. The Deputy Chief is going to lead us off here. And let me just click to move forward. Let's see. There we go. All right.
Great,
You got the floor.
All right, good evening. So what you see there is our organizational chart. So this will, as you can see, the top being the Chief of Police, if for some reason you can't. And then under that, we have a communications manager, myself, the Deputy Chief, Animal Control, and the Office Manager. Below, we have dispatchers, the detectives SRO, the department assistant, and then we have what would be a total of 5 sergeant spots that will oversee 14 patrol, 10 total communications staff, which is the 9 dispatchers plus the communication managers, 2 admin staff, 1 animal control, and we have about one detainee watch right now, and 10 to 15 civilian traffic control people. So that is, you know, an aerial shot of everybody that's in the department and who supervises who, and where we kind of spread out our forces, being that the 5 sergeants, 3 of which that maintain the shifts, a swing sergeant, and then the administrative sergeant position.
What does SRO stand
School resource officer. So the deputy chief oversees the detectives and the school resource officer.
So that person works at a school, not?
Correct, yeah, assigned to the schools. So we have one a school resource officer, one SRO who is assigned to the Ayer schools, and primarily Monday through Friday, their time is spent on the school campus, either at the high school or at Page Hilltop.
May I ask, is there, for the middle school, which is in Shirley, is there a Shirley officer assigned?
There is a Shirley officer who is trained as a school resource officer.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good.
Did you say that you have 11 civilian traffic control?
10 to 15. So that is those that are not full-time staff. They're just there to assist us in the road work, in the any of the traffic, you know, depending on the season. When there's construction season, when you see, you know, the projects on some of our main roads, they will assist us in the traffic.
Do they
Traffic
wear
control.
police uniform?
They wear a high-vis vest that says traffic control, and then a hat that says traffic control. They do not wear a police uniform, no duty belt, nothing like that. And it's a key to separate them because they do not have police powers.
And do you pay them from overtime?
They have a detail rate that they work.
Okay.
That's not, because they're not full-time members of the department, so there is no overtime. They're just there as civilian traffic.
So presumably it's cheaper than a full-time police officer.
Right, and we don't have, depending on the season, you know, right now we might not have that many, but as spring comes, and I'm sure you've heard the DPW and projects that they have, and our roads will need a lot of assistance in traffic control, and we will be able to supplement that with our civilian traffic, because we really couldn't function as a police department in fulfilling our needs if we were to focus on that.
This was something that we started last year as a means to kind of take the pressure off of our full-time
Because I
staff.
read a lot about other towns, or even in the city of Boston, they have a police directing traffic and earning overtime. And so it seems like that kind of like balloons the police budget
Yeah,
very quickly.
Where these personnel are actually paid from are from the contractors that are out in the road.
So not come from the
Does
town
Does not
budget.
come from our budget.
Oh.
Yeah, there are some areas such as training where we, you know, that we do pay them to, you know, maintain their training and things like that, but it's very minimal.
I see.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
paid from the, okay.
Yep,
Contractors.
absolutely. When that bill comes in, it goes right from them.
I see.
And this is a super successful program for us because what was happening, there was so much road work going on out there that needed traffic control,
Yeah, they-
that we were ordering in our full-time staff, and like, so they
Yeah,
were
they-
working their regular shift, and then we were forcing them to work the road.
Exactly, because that's what I read a lot, and that kind of like can really put a big dent on your budget.
Yeah, it really burns
Yeah.
people out,
Yeah.
and especially whether it's very cold or very hot,
Yeah.
it's a lot to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
been a great help.
Okay.
That's really neat. I'm glad you brought that up, Jenny, because just the other day I was driving to, being the good Ayer citizen I am, to the transfer station, and they had there was a bunch of tree trimming trucks
Yep.
on Groton Harbor to the left, and I could see they were setting up, and there was a policeman talking. No, it was a person with a high-vis vest. And I was like, boy, I bet you, so do those contractors have to check in with the police department and set up for traffic and stuff? My questions have been answered, and they pay for
then
that.
who is in charge of recruiting these people? Where do you get these people?
It was, we kind of had our same group of people that originally started, so what we really wanted to make sure is that they had kind of a sense of the public safety mission. So they're retired public safety professionals from this area. A lot of them are residents, you know, from this general area here, Shirley.
So a lot of them are retired police officers.
All of
Okay.
them, all of them are retired, there's retired police, retired fire,
Firefighter. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Sheriffs.
sheriffs
So
and corrections.
but then in our private sector lingo, so these are almost like a, temp, in private sector, they often use a temp agency to hire temps. But this is sort of like, but you actually end up, since they are the retired, police officer or firefighter, so there's a very good chance you know a lot of these people personally, right? So that's good, because then you know their background.
And fill out an
and then,
application.
yeah, there's a level of trust that already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I
why
see.
we wanted to have public safety,
Yeah,
that component.
okay, that's a very nice way to do it. I really like that. I think, hopefully it's a lot cheaper than, hiring, than making you an active police officer to do the work, and yeah.
It definitely takes the load off of the full-time staff so they can concentrate on policing their shifts.
That's nice. And then you have enough people reliable that you can call on, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of people that are interested. So, on the organizational chart there, it looks like, there's a lot of people, and to the point of utilizing the civilian traffic to fill some things, but we also we're down people. We're down 4 right now. So what is highlighted there, we're down 3 people. So we have, we're making it work, but we have one that's highlighted in the red, one officer that's been out long-term injuries. We have a recent retirement, and we have the administrative sergeant to promote, and then a detective to assign. So obviously those will come up from up the ranks in order to fill those spots. So we're down 3 people. So we're still, actively, just like, recruiting and really doing our best to make, our job can be tough, but we want to make sure that people know that, we're taking care of them and, doing our best to keep it a good place to work. So, the civilian traffic was a great option, was a great addition for us to do so. They've helped out a great amount on the traffic, but we still have other things in our mission to accomplish. So we're still looking to promote within for the sergeants, as well as the assignment of the detective position.
But then, once you promote those people, you need to hire new people. So you basically have 3 openings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why we consider the openings, like we're showing the detectives and the sergeants as the positions we need to fill, but those are gonna come from the patrol force, and then that's why we're saying we're down patrol.
Yeah. Just taking a look at some of the statistics from the last year, but specifically, but overall in the trends. So this is a picture of our motor vehicle stops. So you can see they're down a bit from the trend, but still within 100 from 2023. So we're at 1631. Last year it was 1739, but still in reasonable amounts with the trend. And we have arrests and criminal applications to court. So, arrests are taking into custody at the time of the incident or shortly thereafter. And then we have criminal applications to court for those that we will summons into court for any criminal charges. Arrests are slightly up, and from 119 to 126, where criminal applications are on a downward trend, slightly up from last year, 86 to 92.
So why is that? So long.
Yeah,
So there could be a couple, actually, there's a lot of things that come into play. So when you look at our incidents are actually down as well. So incidents lead to the criminal applications, where arrests are things that we arrest on site for. Doesn't necessarily mean too much, because as you can see from 23 to 24 we're up a little bit. So the overall trend from 18 is we're down, but we're for a 1-year trend we're going up a little bit. It just could mean that cases weren't getting they just couldn't be solved and brought to a criminal prosecution. But and overall the incidents are down slightly as well, as you'll see in a
Are the two? Is there any correlation between the two? So that when you arrest someone on the spot, but then you file the criminal application in court. So for every case where you arrest someone, do you then file the criminal application?
They're
or not?
separate.
They're separate.
They're separate. So if, for example, if I were to do something and there could be discretion used to, you could arrest me right on the spot, or you could say, you're gonna be summoned to court later. It's gonna be one or the other. It's whether or not, when we have discretion for some things and other things we do not, that we must and we shall arrest. So, depending on the situation, and, we would take into account, the dangerousness of any persons that had done so and their ability to then return in front of the judge.
So then the two almost are complementary each other. If you arrest someone, then you don't bring that person to court anymore?
We would bring them to, if we arrest somebody, we bring them to the next, whether right to court within a business day or after that, and then the court handles it.
But that's not.
But the criminal
that's
application.
Not as the criminal
No,
application.
no, that'd be separate.
Yeah, so that actually will make more sense if you arrest more, then the other one will go down because you do one of the two.
So
right?
it still shows an increase in both slightly from last year, but neither one is a drastic change.
Yeah, it also could be that the difference here is really very small and negligible, so.
Right.
Yeah.
With our numbers, we're able to see them, so specifically, as opposed to if we had larger numbers, then it'd be.
So this shows that I assume that we had more of a population in the shelters this last year.
I think I'm not sure the numbers from last year, but I don't know if there's any correlation with that.
Yeah, because it seemed like if assuming we had more of because I don't really know directly, but I kind of anecdotally I've heard that there is like Ayer had taken in is one of the, we at least have one site where the state had used as the immigrant shelters, and so I'm just trying to think the presence of those people did not necessarily lead to more arrests of those things.
No, it actually led to, when the homeless shelter was put into place a year or so ago, it actually led to a decrease in crime in that area.
I see.
So we're not there that often.
Okay.
And it's definitely, compared to when we had the transient population of motel, hotel occupants, we had a wide variety of crime and criminal activity there.
I see.
So along with that, we take a look at traffic. And with traffic, we have, motor vehicle collisions that we have looked at in the last couple of years, and they've, once again, moved down slightly. Went from 132 last year to 123. In 2023, 132, and in 2024 to 123. Again, a slight change onto the decrease. And as we were talking about incidents are can sometimes result in further things in investigation, but they're slightly lower from 822 in 2023 to 800 in 2024, but still within the trend. You can see slightly going down.
It's important to understand that incidents aren't necessarily all criminal activity. This could be anything, anytime that we're called to some sort of event where we do a police report. So that's what an incident is. So if it rises to a level where we have to do a police report, so whether it's like a mental health intervention, some sort of disturbance that doesn't result in any criminal activities, suspicious activities that we feel we should note just for future, future documentation, that's all encumbered, in this. So I just don't want anybody to think like we have 800, pieces of crime happening,
Right. And then, diving a little bit deeper, like when do these things, when are our calls happen? And, we see the days of the week, Sundays on the less calls, and it increases as we go in the first couple days of the week, and towards the latter part of the week into Saturday, it decreases slightly. And the time of the day, kind of comes along with the sun rising and goes ups and downs throughout the day, and then settles out much later into the evening before midnight.
And for whatever reason in Ayer, the beginning of the week is always been busier for us the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you ask anybody that's working, they'd say Friday's on fire, but it's,
Ah.
the numbers just aren't there.
Yeah,
But I
it's-
think they're just bigger events on Fridays. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just a different feel. I want to dive a little bit deeper into the psychology of those stuff for a second, but, so once again, the going back, this is, takes a look at our bird's eye view of the whole department. So we kind of have an idea of what we've been up to in the last year. And we take a look and say, okay, we have 3 areas that are obviously for budget, and what we want to talk about tonight with the current organizational chart as we have it. And that this is obviously when we're fully staffed, this is what it looks like, for patrol. We have the chief, myself, the deputy chief, detective, school resource officer, the 3 shifts that are filled with 5 total sergeants, and then 12 patrol officers. So that is like a bird's eye view to take a look at what the police budget and what that entails.
All right, so moving on, we're going to kind of get into the nitty-gritty of our numbers here, and we're working off of the draft 3 that was presented at the last budget forum by Mr. Pomprian. This is all of our kind of lines that we use. And as you see that our increase is a 3.57% overall. What I'm going to do is over the course of the next couple slides is kind of break down these accounts and departments to just kind of highlight what's driving some of the increases and decreases. Okay, so the increase in the salary. This is where the salary for myself and the deputy chief come out of. The salaries generally are generally step increases off the non-union pay grid. In this case, mine only is step increases, and the deputy chief has signed on to a new 3-year contract that goes into effect FY26. So there's the terms and conditions of that contract are contained in this increase here. Under the wages, what we pay out of the wages are the sergeants and patrol officers, the office manager, and the department assistant. And as we mentioned a little before, the air civilian traffic control when it comes to trainings and things like that. But then with the air civilian traffic control, they're generally paid out of contractors when they're working out on the road. As you can see, that increase for all the majority of our department is a 3.02% increase, which equates to 61,367.38. Yes.
This is a significant drop in fiscal year '23. What was
So many years
what was
ago.
the cause of that?
So FY23 is we had a lot of retirements, and a lot of the senior people had retired. And the FY23 is actuals, so the budgeting may have been higher, but this is what was actually paid out. So if we brought on somebody, they were, especially if we, I think that was the year that we lost a couple senior sergeants. So then we would have replaced them with junior sergeants and then replaced them with junior patrol. So that would be remarkable, decreases there. And the fact that we, that was kind of like the start of our, the entire profession having an exodus out of the profession. So we've been kind of empty since then.
So you've been backfilling slowly.
Very slowly, but making headway. Yes.
So FY25, I assume, since we're still in the year, is also just the budgeted.
That's the
as
budgeted,
well?
yes. Everything else is the actual. So FY24, 23, and 22 are the actuals.
So does the budget for 25 and now more importantly 26, does that include hopefully filling the 2 sergeants and the detective?
So we always budget for a full staff,
Okay.
in hopes that we're gonna find people, that fit the bill for, air, to work in air. In reality, we can only bring on so many people at once, because they have to be trained a certain way, and we only have so many trainers. So, I think the max is, 2 people that we can bring on, at any given time, at the same time. So it's a slow process, and especially if they have to go to the academy. The academy is about a 6-month adventure, then followed by 11 to 12 weeks minimum of field training here. So it's a process, and then before all that, there's about 4 months of background investigations. So from the time somebody that I put somebody's name to the town manager to the time that they're actually a usable employee here is well into a year.
Wow.
What's the burden on you guys for training new staff? Is it just ride-alongs, or they?
So
How's that?
for our patrol, it's a process that is it's a nationally recognized process, and it's overseen by our Sergeant Pearson, who's specially trained to run a program such as this, and he's got 3 people that are with him, and they walk a person, even if they're brand new out of the academy, they get them, and they kind of like crawl before you can run kind of deal. So there's 3 to 4 phases that they need to go through, and before they can matriculate into a patrol function, they have to pass a standards test, and that's just it's a functional standards test. So they're still riding with somebody, but that person does not interfere unless there's an absolute need to interfere. We've had this process extended for people just because they weren't ready, and usually it's just somebody needs a couple, 3 more weeks, and they're comfortable enough, and the field training officer's comfortable enough to let them go. It's a program that's very, very successful. It's required as part of the post process. We had been doing it prior to that, but it's a requirement now for being part of an accredited police department.
Okay, thanks.
Let's see. Yeah, moving on. All right, we are on to the OT. So this was an increase. We had originally level funded this. We had as you can see, we have from 24 to 25. We really brought it back. We brought it down. We only bring it down very little at a time because we're really not sure what this number is going to be when we're fully staffed. Everything is dependent on when we're fully staffed. We try to predict what that number is. We came in with 302 again this year, and we were asked to take a look at our budgets and if there was any way we could squeeze anything out of them. So we were comfortable that we could decrease this by 5,000, but we're just going to have to keep a really close eye on, especially if we're starting to fill these positions, which we hope to do in the near future, what that budgeted number is going to look like for us.
If you fill the position, that shouldn't affect overtime, right? Because the people you fill will be on regular shift, right?
So correct. So the overtime is used to make sure that we stay at a certain level.
Yeah. Do you have a number of your current spending? Like this is the FY25 number is the budgeted number, right? So that should go to June 30th. So now, as of March 20th, do you have like I'll say not today, but say the end of February? I know that the town accountant hasn't. I wonder if you have like how much we have spent so far, so that you'll have a.
That's a great question, and I didn't bring my current budget with me, and we do track that.
Just a rough idea. Do you have a rough idea? like, you still have 4
yeah.
months left. So
Yeah.
say
Do you
that
want
if
this?
you currently have spent, like, 2/3 of
Do we,
the
is our
budget.
actual on there?
I don't know if
But
it's
that's gonna be an
March
actual
7th.
from,
I was gonna say, is it on the ClearGov site?
Yeah, that's one of those.
It all depends on when we took that snapshot, and I'm not sure. If I
No,
see
this
the
is
number.
for 26, so,
So this is the planning for next year.
yeah, it's
Does
for
it- does it
26.
have numbers?
I'm just looking
So
at,
this should have the FY 25.
so, the one I have
Okay.
wasn't, this was the year, the month
Yeah,
prior
this
to
is
that.
a snapshot from a much earlier point in time.
When is that?
This is from November 22nd.
Oh, so that's less than
Yeah,
half.
so it's
of-
less than that.
This is 12,
So what did that look like? I forgot. I mean, I have a copy of this too, but I forgot.
yeah, no.
This is through
You know what, I
January
can get you,
17th.
I can report what our number was, so every month we get a report from the accounts office.
Yeah, just kind of like curious, because I think of this, I try to understand this analogous to like our own
The
household budget.
omnibus set?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
if in the
Yeah,
household
so
budget,
no,
you
I was
have
looking
to
at
put
the,
aside
Here's the
this
police.
much money for doing that.
Yeah,
And then you would want to think, 2/3
actual as of,
Did I spend 2/3 of money?
that's from November, yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what he
Oh,
has.
okay.
No,
We had
yeah,
number,
no, I
but
see
it
what you're
didn't.
saying. And every month we get a report, we crunch the numbers, we find out if we're, if we're to the good or if we're, to the bad.
Because I
So-
feel this is the only one that's very flexible. The others, the wage and those things, they're all predictable. That
This,
they,
yeah, this is the one
unless
that's
the-
kind of like we kind of throw a dart.
Yeah,
kind of-
exactly. The
yeah.
overtime is the one that, from what I read, that a lot of other police departments or, in the city or in other towns, where they have problems, is tend to be here, because it can be very,
So we really try to, so if you look at the FY 24 and 23, those are the actual spent.
yeah.
And again, those, we were shorthanded back then, so we really don't know what this number is gonna be. So that's why we're hesitant to take big chunks out of any more of it. We have taken big chunks out of it. But as we come up to full staff, this picture is gonna be clearer and clearer. And hopefully we'll have a much better idea of what our overtime needs are gonna be.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that when we were full staff, we were up to this bigger number, which I didn't think we needed at this, up until.
So basically, you think that the more people you have on your regular staff, you actually will tend to incur more overtime? Because every one of them is eligible for overtime, you could assign them, is that?
Yeah, so as you can see, so the drivers for the overtime needs are, time off needs, which are the vacation days and personal days, whatever. But there are also training,
Yeah.
which are all done on overtime, so the more people we have to train, the more overtime there's gonna be.
I see, okay.
The report writing and investigation, so if it goes beyond their 8 hours,
Yeah,
that's gonna pick up.
Uh-huh.
The specialized services, we can kind of get a number on that. We're kind of pretty good. Court time is all dependent on how busy we are. But it's still tough to put a number on that because cases sometimes never go to trial. And they, so that, they don't hit the overtime line there. So we do have some community events that we do pay out of our overtime line here. And as, we're coming out of and more people are getting out and doing more public things, the requirements are there. And, in this day and age, having 1 or 2 officers for an outside event is really not doing anybody any services. We err on the side of making sure that we can keep an event as safe as possible, so we bring on using our past experiences and kind of current trends, how we staff those things there. And then if we have a prisoner that or a detainee that has to stay in one of the cells, that if one of those 3 categories up there, that's all on overtime. But to that note, one of the things that we have done to try and mitigate that number is we have partnered with the Middlesex County Sheriff's Office, And if there is somebody that's being held on bail, they have agreed to be the detention facility for us rather than have, to kind of ease the burden on the localities. So that's something that we've taken advantage of quite a bit, and it's not only has it saved us money, but it's saved us ordering in officers to have to come in and watch over somebody, at all hours of the day. And and that could be, extremely problematic on a, long holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Where generally it's a holiday, people want it, if they're off, those are the people that get ordered in. So, so we were comfortable lowering that to 5,000, lowering it by $5,000 again, and we'll just keep an eyeball on it and see what we have to do for next year.
Now, just thought of this community events that you guys just hosted this St. Patrick's Day, the run,
Yep.
right? So that will be considered a community event. Right?
That is the one that is free to the town. So that,
I was wondering,
yeah.
like, how, if a thing like this, how
Yeah.
is that funded? Because I know that the fire department's Thanksgiving run, I think they raise money, right?
Yep.
So would they use the money they raised to fund the people who had to patrol the whole, the whole activity the whole time, or
Yeah.
how does that work?
So yeah, that's a great question. So the fire department volunteers their time for the fire department one, and then we come over and help with theirs. For the police department one, the police officers volunteer their time, and I think the fire department comes over and does their thing for us over here.
I see.
So it's basically, if it's your event, you gotta donate your time to work it. So
I see.
that's why I'm saying that's a free one for the town. For the
No overtime on that one. No.
It's and it's a great event, and it incorporates some of our local businesses too. So
Yeah,
it's
I
good.
wasn't really impressed how many people show up. I thought that there was one in the fall already. I didn't know
Yeah.
anybody would show up for spring. But so many people.
It's becoming tradition, Yeah, it's great for the community.
Okay. Any more questions on OT? All right, moving on. Services. So this one has gone up a little bit. So where this one, the drivers for this are new hire testing. So when we hire new personnel, they have to go through various amounts of psychological, medical testing. And vehicle maintenance, where, as you can see, the trend for the vehicle maintenance was going up. Right now, we're at 21,000, and for the remainder of this year. So we've level funded this. We think we're gonna squeak by at right around the 29. We've kind of been, moving up, but we're gonna hold off in 29 for this year. Where the increases are is usually in our maintenance agreements, which are records management software. This is where our managed network security comes in, phone trunking, blah, blah, blah. So one of our biggest increases in this line was the managed network security went up by $6,900. And then most of the remainder of that increase there is generally all of our maintenance agreements go up 3 to 5% a year. And that's how the businesses kind of innovate and stay on the.
Yeah. Your current fiscal year 25, the vehicle maintenance actually is.
So right now we're at 21.
Is it because this is the amount you have spent, or is it?
That's how much we've spent so far.
Okay.
So
So then, your whole year budget is more than that. Right?
yeah, we're at 29 right now. We're pretty sure we'll be able to squeak by at 29, and I think
You wrote down 21 here, so.
So that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. So then you hope that by end
We
of
don't
June.
go over 29.
You don't go over 29.
Yeah.
Okay.
Knocking on wood and biting my tongue, I'm hoping.
Yeah, it seems
But
like
it's
it's been
not
a rougher year for our cars. We've gone through a couple transmissions, and whatnot. Utilities, it's a 5% increase, but it really is $440. It's just kind of paying attention to the bill and the electric up at the Radio Shack, which is up on the schools and Verizon business lines. Let's see, supplies. Supplies for us, let's see, coming out of here are our professional, where are we? Nope, I flipped the page and I shouldn't have. Okay, so all this really is we there's a slight error in this page. The FY24 has the 27,300 up there. It's actually actual on that was 31,850. So we're just trying to get closer to what our actual spending is on that. The numbers are high in the 22, 23, and those are just some areas that we needed to make a purchase on some piece of equipment in those points. And that's just the line that they take them out of, and just kind of go from there. So don't pay attention to 22 and 23. The true spending line is been trending closer to the 31,850. So we're going to try and we budgeted 26,300 for this year. We're pretty confident that we're going to be needing closer to 29. Clothing, so this has gone up quite a bit, and this kind of number moves from year to year. One of the major drivers for this are the outfitting of any new hires and the replacement of the body armor and the outer carriers. Just to kind of a snapshot, to outfit a new hire that has to go to the academy, at a minimum it's $5,200. So that's their academy gear and then their equipment once they get out of the academy. If we were to hire somebody that was, we call them a transfer, they're more closer to $3,300, and that is including their vests and body carriers. Every 5 years, a body armor and the carriers need to be replaced, and they're on kind of a rolling schedule depending on when they got them. And this year just happens to be 5 officers that need the vest this year. So the vest carrier combo is about $1,700 per officer. So those are the drivers there.
Is there like some line of this where like just the costs happen to go up, or is it just, pieces of everything? Like because it's a 20, yeah, because it was a 20. So was there like some item or part of it that was like, oh, I don't know, the body armor was much more expensive now or something, or was
No, it's for the body armor itself. That's more of the officers that need the replacement this year. So they're on a 5-year schedule. So usually well, not usually, I guess. They've been historically 2 to 3 officers. This year it's just it's a 5-year cycle, just depending on when they got when they were issued their vest.
So it's not that any one thing just happens to, with inflation and everything else going, it's not that.
If you look at we have new hires. So if we don't have any new hires, then we don't have to outfit anybody. It's just what's maintained in their clothing allowance. But because we've had new hires at the cost of either over $5,000 or over $3,000, well, all those new hires and people that we're replacing, that can increase it to include the body wear, the vests and so forth.
Thank you.
So one of the good things about the vests is we were able to obtain a grant, and I think we're in the last year of it. That it's the body worn vest program, and it splits the cost of the vests with the federal government. So we're in the final year of that. So we're hoping that that is still applicable, and we'll be able to utilize it. So we'll see how that goes.
Yes, sir.
Is there collaboration amongst all the police departments for developing pricing for the equipment and uniforms?
I think the simple answer is no. And I think it's because certain departments have certain needs. So we've recently changed our uniforms and to what was a more comfortable lightweight uniform rather than the wool blend. And coincidentally, they were, a little bit cheaper as well. So we were able to, kind of, make those kind of concessions. But there are, some departments that wear leather jackets. There are some that, they just have different uniform components. And vests are generally driven by a department. So what we would do is if we were in the market for changing out of our vests, we would form a committee and have the officers kind of like figure out where the majority liked the vests. I mean, it's something that you live in sometimes for 16 hours a day, and they're not exactly the most comfortable thing to wear. Even moving to our outer carriers, which have been a remarkable success both in comfort and in health. That where there's not I don't know, say there's a lot of people, but there's so many different outer carrier vests that are out there. That's just the one we went with. It was durable. It fit our needs for aesthetics and looks, and things like that. But there are other places that they want a more uniformed looked outer vest, and whatever the cost is to that. So it's all just driven by each individual. And then the contractual clothing and equipment, that's just that's a number we can absolutely put a number on. I don't have it with me, but it's just based on the employees. Okay, expenses. This is the professional dues, training, and subscription fees and tuition reimbursement. There are the major driver in this is the tuition for the academies. We're going to 2 student officers, which is $3,200 each officer to go. We actually have to pay a portion of the tuition to that. One of the things that I do want to warn the town on, that I don't know if anybody's seen the news on it, that there's a movement afoot to no longer split the cost of the tuition with the towns and just put the whole burden on the towns. So that's going to be a cost of a student officer for between $6,000 and $7,000 to go to the academy rather than the 32.
So right now, when you say split, who is the town splitting with?
The state.
Oh,
So the state is
trying not to pay its part.
I think that's a great, the way you put it is its part. We're trying to convince them that it's their part. And it's, it's not like we're going to we're doing something that the state requires. And we're frankly one of the few states that charge a tuition to go to a police academy. It's a lot of states that they're an independent, they're an entity that runs, and if you get selected to go to the academy, then that's what you go. So, but yeah, so that's the major driver, is that $3,200 for the two officers there. Hopefully we'll only have to use one, but we just want to be ready. Moving on to the capital, which is our cruisers. So we replace a cruiser every year. Every year they go up. We're into hybrid vehicles. The Ford Explorer hybrid. And then the increase is about $2,200 on that. So in our new line car, what this cost includes is the car, the computer, the MDT computer in there, and the radar are the 2 additional things that we need to put in those. All right, so that's kind of the overview of that. I just want to kind of go over a couple future notes with with everybody here. So we have recently been awarded a grant to start our body-worn camera initiative. So it was approximately $74,000, I think. Is that about right? And that's going to fund the bringing on all the equipment and everything that we need to start a program. In the future, maintenance agreements will be incorporated into this. Right now, to run the program, they're generally maintenance free for anywhere from 3 to 5 years, depending on the company that we select to go with. Next year, next week, we're wrapping up our trial and evaluation period for the body-worn cameras that we're testing, and we're hopefully by the end of March going to be pulling the straw and trying to figure out which the camera that the troops like.
So is this another of those that, you know, you awarded a grant for a few years, but after a few years in the future, the town will be on the hook for the maintenance or replacement of this equipment?
Yeah, so generally what it is, the maintenance of the equipment. So, and when we talk about maintenance, it's usually just the software.
Yeah, well, things like camera, I'm pretty sure that, you know, after a few years, you probably want to replace the hardware as well, so. Because there are probably better versions of it or something.
So in at least 2 of the cameras that we're testing, that the maintenance also includes the upgrades.
Actual replacing the hardware.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if there's a you know, let's say we're using camera 2, like version 2, and then version 3 comes out and it's the greatest thing.
So
that part of that will be at the end of life. The maintenance will be replacing that.
So how is the decision made that the officer should wear body camera? Is this sort of like a town consensus, or is this a town government decision, or is it you feel there's a need for it?
That's a great question. So all the above. Body-worn cameras are something that is it's almost a social norm right now. That it's something that that the citizens are looking for, and it helps instill the trust. So if there's an event, right now you're going on the word of the officers, and you're going on the word of whatever anybody else is saying. What we've found is that the body-worn cameras are, you know, they're just an impartial person or an impartial thing that's out there that's recording the event, and recording the audio and recording whatever's in front of it. And that's that becomes one of the true arbiters of that event, and it's something that our officers are excited about having, because it's a level of protection from them, because we've had our fair share of complaints made against us, and the officers are like, I wish there was somebody recording this. And quite frankly, moving forward, this is something that Post has encouraged. Post is the Peace Officers Standards and Training Commission that's governed by the state, that they've encouraged police departments to move towards. And it's working with the town here. It's been incorporated into the collective bargaining agreements, and it's something that is supported by the town. And it's something that's supported by us as well, because if there's that to provide a level of transparency for the community about our officers and our department and how we operate, to provide a level of security to our officers that are out in the street, for that, I think that it's a small price to pay, a maintenance agreement coming forward, and the fact that we were awarded the grant to start up the program at no cost to the town was huge. So there's no, so it's just like any other piece of equipment that we'd bring on in the department. There's always a maintenance agreement to it. And I don't think it's going to be overly it's not a, oh my gosh, kind of maintenance agreement cost.
Yeah,
It's-
I assume that this is.
I mean,
just
some of them are out
one
there.
piece
Some of
of
the, like, our records management, software
It's more expensive,
is a
yeah.
very expensive maintenance,
yeah.
maintenance cost.
I just was, this is a little bit of my experience, learning about town's affairs is that sometimes those things that you get from grants, they have a long tail. So initially, sounds great that you get some benefits,
Yep.
but then afterwards, the town is on the hook because you get used to having that, so you can't live without it. Then you have to, spend the money to maintain that.
Yep, this is something that I think that this is a very wise investment from the town.
Yeah, so this is only, you're talking about only, what, $70-some thousand, right?
74,000 to start it, and that's coming from a grant that we got through the state.
Yeah, and then in the future, only maintaining, so hopefully the maintenance cost will not be more than the
No,
cost.
it's not gonna be anywhere near that.
Yeah.
Not gonna be anywhere
Then
near
it's
that.
not really
And
that
that's
big
not
an
gonna
issue.
be, and it's not gonna be at the earliest 3 years. 3 fiscal years, so. Let's see, another thing just to kind of keep in note for the future, and you've heard me say post a few times, so the Peace Officers Standing Training Commission, they are, they're the ones who kind of govern our existence now, and the requirements are, that are going out to the police departments it's almost like an unfounded mandate that keeps happening, that we're being asked to do more and more. And right now, it's just a really lot of administrative requirements that are kind of taxing where we're at right now. We're just want to put that on the radar. I'm not sure what that means, but it just every, at least twice a year, I'm going to say that there's a big earth kind of shift on what we're required to do.
I just wanted to make an observation about that. You used the phrase unfunded requirements, and as I've learned over the last few years getting involved here and everything is, again, with all the departments, police, fire, even Department of Public Works and other ones, licensing and things like that, and various accreditations and legal requirements. One of the good things of having them is, well, one, that it makes sure we're up to the higher standards, and two, getting back to my point, is that then it would usually make us eligible for grants. If you would like to get grants, you need to meet these accreditations.
Yep.
And what I'm hearing, and I'm thinking we might see more in the future, is that we're still going to have to meet these requirements, but the grants that we should be getting, back to your observation, calling it unfunded, we have to be aware, are we still getting those grants? Are we still getting the funding for it? And if not, and I think, Jen, you've made a good observation as we've gone on this evening, is that we have to, as a town, to keep on top of this for budgeting purposes, is that, okay, we've got to meet these standards, who's going to pay for it?
No, exactly. And that's why I wanted to put it on the
Yeah.
radar.
So I'm just sort of making the observation is this is a good thing for us to keep, and I'm glad you bring it up, is that these are things that are on the horizon we need to be aware of, and we may have to pay more for that, so we have to keep that in mind. So good.
Appreciate
Thanks
that.
for bringing it up. Jen, were you make an observation also? Okay.
So, taking another look at another budget area is our dispatch center. So the communications center, as we stated, has a communications manager and 9 full-time dispatchers. We have 4 per diem dispatchers. To get an idea of what their needs are there, we in 2024 total calls were 30,244. Out of those calls, we have a total of 911 calls.
100 people calling every day.
So 911 calls are 2,877, but people calling, the phones are ringing all the time. and that obviously that number tells you that. So having 2 people there, whether or not we still have people that will call the administrative line, and actually it probably could have been should have been a 911 call, but we still maintain that. Or sometimes it's to the person on the other end, it's in a crisis, but maybe it's not a 911 call, right? But they manage all those calls, and whether or not they turn into a call for service, or whether or not they get transferred within the department and addressed otherwise, that's the phone rings that many times.
And it should be clear that that number that we just talked about there is the total calls that the Regional Communications Center takes in. So that's both Ayer and Shirley.
It is.
It's a
It is a
hopping
lot.
place. It's a hopping place. in
And
there.
that's and that's what it's there for, right? Because when in doubt, people call the police, right? Because we're there 24/7, and hopefully we'll be able to direct them in the right direction.
And these are
get
just
a call.
calls that get logged into our dispatch center. There's tons of times
Oh,
where it's
yeah.
just like we're like, yeah, you need to call the DPW. That's you need to call this. You need to call that.
And
That we don't even make a call on.
yeah.
I've never called the police department.
That
See?
you know what? There'll be someone there if you ever have to.
The
And
thing is, there are also some people who are not stable who called 911 for no good reason, and some people doing that kind of call repeatedly. I don't know. It's sort of.
it's just the nature of the business, right? So we're there, and so they call us, and if they don't know who to call, they call us.
Just
So
two quick questions. So 24/7, correct?
yes.
And calls for ambulance assistance, do they sometimes start with go to you folks and then you refer them?
all
So,
the time.
yeah, all 911 calls for EMS, come to us,
Okay.
whether it's Ayer or Shirley. Yes, those all come through us. And sometimes, too, if someone, there's some that don't want to call 911 and they call the administrative line, even like I said, it should have been 911 call. But either way, it is the same dispatchers in the communication answering that phone call and handling it however it needs to be handled.
Okay.
So, and to break it down, so out of those calls, to break it down a little bit more for you, it's 16,944, which equals 56% of the total call volume for total calls, and 1,839 911 calls, equaling about approximately 64% of the 911 calls that the dispatch center receives for Ayer.
So one of the key things I think to take away from this is, so the call volume is 56% Ayer, but the 911 call volume is 64% Ayer. So Ayer does have a kind of a bigger share in that.
I'm guessing you might address this in a slide
Coming up.
or two.
Oh, he's
but-
got plenty
but-
more for you.
But, well, so Ayer is, we partner with Shirley, but I don't actually have any idea what the population of Shirley is. I thought Shirley was a smaller town now. Has that been adjusted in the cost sharing?
As far as the
Agreement?
dispatch
Yeah.
center?
Yeah.
And the chief's gonna go dig into some of those numbers right now, and as well as the grant, and so forth, and how that assessment's taking place.
All right, so this is kind of the overview of the budget lines for the dispatch. So hot off the presses today, as we were kind of finalizing our numbers, as you can imagine, our budget is kind of always changing, and we're with the amount of grants coming in. So as we were crunching our numbers, you can see I have 2 areas highlighted. Those are going to be different than what you see on your version 3. So we were able to identify approximately $10,000 in a new grant source out of the 911 granting that we were able to apply here. So the numbers are actually, getting better. So we'll talk about this as we get there. All right, so some of the grants that we get in 911, because we're a regional communication center, the pool of grant money is actually much deeper for us to get there. So we have the 911 support and incentive grant. So that's the bucket of money that kind of really supports the operations, the day-to-day operations of the communication center. The 911 Regional Development Grant is a grant that is mainly for equipment. So if there is a piece of equipment that is needed by the communication center or any of the entities that are attached to it, so the air, fire, air police, or the Shirley Fire or the Shirley Police, they can apply, and it's a more competitive grant, and it's based on a need and problem-solving kind of mechanism for that for there. Then there's the 911 training grant. That covers all of the training needs for all the dispatchers that would normally come out of our 911 line. And we have the 911 EMD grant. So because we're an EMD community, and that's emergency medical dispatch, so meaning if you were to call our dispatch center, our dispatchers are specially trained to triage a phone call, and the patient on the other end, whether they're unresponsive or somebody's calling on their behalf, to give them life-saving instructions, not just CPR, but any kind of emergency, on how to mitigate that until the proper EMS can get there. So because we're that, we have that incentive there as well. And we're going to talk about a little bit more how this plays into our overall scheme here. I'm pretty sure we've got all the numbers updated. If there's a discrepancy, it's just because of that last minute thing we found today, but I think we're good. So what we do is we kind of have this initial starting budget, as you can see at the top, and it's just a little bit over $1 million to operate the center. The support and incentive grant, which goes directly into our operating budget, is $416,000. It's a little different than the number you saw on the previous page because there's a small chunk of that money that goes to a Shirley endeavor. So it doesn't even touch our doesn't touch our kind of budget area. So just that portion is going in. The 911 training grant gets applied into the overtime line, and the 911 EMD grant services. The EMD grant applies to our services line, and that helps offset the software that helps us EMD certain calls. So those three pieces of grant money, that directly offsets our budget, and that brings down our budget to the request of the $559,441. So as you can see, it nearly cuts it in half. And then we go down to the next line. Now the next line, this is we talked a little bit about this last year, and I think we got a real easy way to kind of highlight what this does. So this goes in support. This is the assessment that the town of Shirley pays the town of Ayer for hosting the Regional Communication Center. So it should be noted that in FY24, the assessment that Shirley paid was $145,000. Then we went into FY25, which is what we're in now, and with the new intermunicipal agreement that was negotiated in the upcoming FY25, that first year it went up to $175,000 assessment, and then going into FY26, that number is going to be $200,000. Informational purposes, that's FY26. FY27, that number is going to be $225,000. So that's kind of a snapshot of that. So the reason the assessment doesn't hit our budget. The assessment goes into the overall town budget. So it doesn't necessarily knock down the money that we requested, but in the overall budget, that's how our requested budget is supported through through the town in that assessment. So the visual reference for what the Shirley assessment is, what the for Ayer is 359,441, and that's everything included, everything that we need to run the dispatch center. You know what, let me, I don't know how to back up. Is it if I click back up? Any questions on that previous slide? I don't know how to back up.
So how is the dispatch budget line on this slide relating to the table where you have the salary, wages, and overtime and everything there? Oh, I see that. This number, it does agree. Okay.
Yep.
In the end, that does agree. So this is the one that covers everything.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna try. Do you want me to try to figure out how to go back? I think I saw it next or previous. Or are we good on this slide?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So just like we did before, the salary line. This covers the communications manager. Going into FY26, he also has he negotiated a new contract. He's on the non-union pay grid, and he's the only person that comes out of this line. Out of the wages, this is where the 9 dispatchers are paid out of, and this contains the contractual cost of living adjustment and the step increases. So there's as you can see, there's a reduction here. The reason for the reduction, we've had a little bit of turnover in the into the dispatch ranks. So we're bringing on new dispatchers, and who are getting paid at a lower step and lower benefit packages. The increased support and incentive grant award and the increased assessment with Shirley has contributed to the reason for the reduction in this line here. Okay, overtime, we're confident that this number is a good number. So you don't be confused by the FY24. So remember, we have that the training comes out of this line. So any of the necessary training is covered by the grant. So the overtime would be other things that are covered out of this. So we're confident that a 0 increase is necessary. All right, this is the services line. So this is the line that changed in the 11th hour here. So the services where the maintenance agreements come out of. So records management software, Citrix stuff, yearly increases there. So the grant covers 60% of the most expensive maintenance agreement that you have out there, which for us is our records management software, and that equated to $10,000, $154 reduction there. So that line is actually seeing that reduction there. Supplies. So the supplies line, this is just more in line of what our actual spending is. As you can see in FY24, it was up to we concluded with 1701, and just the way that the way that the invoicing happens, that the budgets are created prior to knowing what the numbers are. So that's why we budgeted FY25 at 1,000, because we thought we were going to be there, but our spending seems to be well over 1,000, so we're just goosed that up to 2,000. Contractual clothing and equipment is the next one. The increase on this is really to accommodate we have a couple more per diem staff than we've historically had. So they have we take care of their clothing, their clothes to wear on duty. There. The expense line for the dispatcher, this is going to remain at 0. This is where professional use training and subscriptions come out of. And then this is just kind of a conclusion slide here. And just highlighting again the reduction that is not on your slides, not on your version 3, draft 3 budget. Any questions on the dispatch?
I'm just going to use this as an opportunity. I know we're almost finished here. And just throwing this out for consideration because we're talking here with the regional with Ayer and Shirley. The thing I was thinking about is what's our relationship with Devon's as far as with their police department support, any things? In other words, do we, well, I guess again, it's just as far as the dispatch, they have their own dispatch then, right? Okay.
So we work well with all our surrounding communities, and we're actually surrounded by 2 regional dispatch centers, one that covers Groton, and then the one that covers Devens and Harvard.
Okay.
So they're, yeah, I guess that, we work well with them. Devens is covered by the state police. They're kind of a different policing entity.
Okay.
Than a local policing entity.
Okay.
But yeah, we work well with them.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, so to fine tune the question so that, and I think you answered as far as the dispatch is concerned, Groton they're part of their regional district and Devens has their dispatch services. Okay. And then I guess, again, I'm just sort of thinking ahead here. And again, may not be the best time to discuss it. And I was just sort of thinking into the future as we police, in general, we police, Ayer proper. Are there any instances when we have the Ayer police have to go into, and again, this isn't Devens, but Devens or Harvard or things like that?
Yeah, so we're covered by mutual aid agreements with all our surrounding communities.
Okay.
We're part of law enforcement councils, which are kind of a larger community, so it allows us to float in between. But all our surrounding communities, we are often called to back one another up.
Okay.
There are times when there are only 2 officers working here and we have an incident that requires more. There are, some of our neighboring communities only have 1 person on at night at sometimes, and we're obliged to go over and assist when they call for help. And similarly, we're all in the public safety game. So if there's, some sort of incident where we can be of service to our surrounding communities, then, we offer that. It was a little easier with Shirley, but, they had a radio issue where their radio systems went down. Because of our proximity, we were able to just negotiate a quick, they jump on our radio frequencies and they're able, we have a protocol put in place that, how we identify each other and we get dispatches all squared away. So, and that would be the same with our surrounding communities, Littleton. So Littleton is our fail-safe backup. So if, as 911 puts it, Meteor comes and hits, the 54 Park Street, we have a system set up, a backpack that has our entire, it's a dispatch on the go. And we can set up shop in Littleton and vice versa. So, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the background for ensuring continuity of operations, and a lot of hard work that's gone into that by a lot of people in a lot of our surrounding communities. So it's, we don't operate in a vacuum. And I think that's very important for, everybody to understand that, we all want to ensure, public safety here. And by that, you know, by that token, we need to make sure that we're, you know, we're offering our services out and people are offering their services in. And then, you know, while we're talking a little bit about, you know, the regional dispatch, you know, our dispatch has been, you know, set up for, you know, the possibility of having a third community join us. If that ever presents itself, we'd take a hard look at it and find out if, you know, how that works for us. And you know, see if somehow that we, you know, we can make that happen. And then all these, you know, then, you know, for all the communities involved, those numbers all start changing again. So, you know, and I think that, you know, I think that if we could find the right community that, you know, would want to join us, then I think that there's a whole lot of benefits that are probably out there.
Great, thank you, Chief, thank you.
Are you monitoring all the surrounding communities, the radio?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So if somebody had a situation where they needed backup,
Yeah, absolutely.
you
Yeah.
would be available?
So not only do we monitor our, you know, our immediate, you know, communities, but we're all programmed for, you know, the entire, we're a little bit unique because we kind of a little bit of Worcester County, but we all have Middlesex County, and we're part of 2 law enforcement councils. One is the Central Mass Law Enforcement Council, CEMLEC, and NEMLEC, the Northeastern. So we have radios aplenty. To make sure that wherever we go, that we can just flip a switch and run channels, and vice versa.
Not to be melodramatic, but so I can sleep safely at night. I mean, it's really,
We want everybody to.
yeah, it's.
We try our best so nobody has to stay awake like we have to
Like
stay
you said, all
awake,
the
yeah.
stuff that's happening in the background.
Yeah.
That makes this all work.
Well, those are the things that
Thank
keep
you.
us up at night. So we play the what if game. So we hope that, you know, all these things, you know, and all the plans, everything that we've trained for, you know, knock on wood.
Yeah, I mean, we
hope
get paid
that
to
we're
do
ready
all the
for it.
worrying and all the planning, so nobody else has to think about it.
Yeah,
So
nobody wants to
that's
think
what we
like
want.
us.
Just one last question
Yeah.
from me. The grants you got for the dispatcher budget, is that a one-time, or do you expect to receive similar grants in the
No,
coming years?
they are, those are, we've been getting those grants, since we became a, regional dispatch.
So they are, you have good reason to believe that they will continue to come?
Absolutely.
And those are state or federal?
They're 911. So.
I mean, state, federal.
So the where the money comes from is if you look at your phone bill, there's a surcharge on there.
Oh.
So the surcharge all goes into this pot at state 911, in which they then distribute it amongst the communities and manage the
Okay.
projects.
Okay.
So that, you know, all the communities have greatly benefited from the grant opportunities from being a regional dispatch center. We've radios, you know, for a lot of our personnel have all been upgraded. We're hopeful to continue that trend with the budget, which we've submitted. We should be hearing back shortly. So we're very fortunate to have this at our disposal.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, so we need
So
to finish up.
the third part of our budget overview is animal control. So we have one part-time person that is our animal control officer that obviously has reports directly to the chief of police, obviously, but she is very, you know, our animal control officer is very much part of our department, and you know, is definitely we contact our animal control. You know, fairly regularly for many different, you know, obviously animal related calls, whether it's something to check on or whether it's something that's more serious.
And so really, we're just gonna talk about, we got the individual slides, but we can kind of get the gist of what's happening here. There's no change in the budget that's there except for her contractual step increases she's part of the clerical union for the town. And that's just the only increase there. Okay. I got.
Um,
Any questions, anything that we've confused, we've got, kind of a confusing budget, and it's, every year it seems like it's always moving around and at the last second, but, that's just the nature of the game.
No, I think it was very, very detailed. I'm going to open to the public any questions on the police budget. Andrew, Sarah, Jeff?
I have just one question. Um, this is Sarah with the 11 Garden Shirley Road. Can you just tell me again, like, how many total employees did you have?
So we have 21, Sarah, this is Chief Gill. We have 21 police employees, that's myself down. Those are the paid employees. We have 1 communications manager, 9 dispatchers, and 4 per diem or part-time dispatchers, and 1 animal control.
Okay, thank you. I know you have you showed the chart many times. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the police? Okay, thank you very much, Chief.
I have a packet for Andrew if he wanted it. Do you want me to, do you have a,
I will put it in my file folder for him.
all right.
Can you deliver to him?
All right, so no questions, we'll,
Thank you very much, Assistant Chief, for coming to make the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on the agenda, we have for the budget FY 2026, the main update is that we are going to, and I'll get the agenda out, tomorrow is, for next Thursday, March 27th, we will meet and we will go over the warrant and make our recommendations on that. And then on April 1st will be the joint meeting with the Select Board where we will present our recommendations. That's the update on that. So, any questions on the budget process then? Okay, so our next meeting then is on March 27th, next Friday at 6 p.m. to review the warrant. I'm going to open again to any other public comments.
Yeah, I have a comment.
Yes.
So Sarah with the 11 Garden Shirley Road. So I was wondering how many more times do you think your board's going to meet before town meeting?
So we are going to meet on next Thursday. That's just, usually our meetings are the first and third Thursdays of the month. We're having an extra meeting on the 27th next week so we can review the warrant and make our recommendations, and then have the joint meeting with the Select Board on April 1st. Our next 2 scheduled meetings would be April 3rd and then April 17th, and then town meeting is April 28th. So that's our schedule.
Okay, thank you.
So, and Sarah, I just will mention, I have some answers to your, the letter that you sent me the other day. So
Yes.
I apologize, I just didn't have time to get to it, but I do have answers for you on that, so I'll follow up with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, any other questions, items?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. Andrew, thanks everyone for attending. Bye-bye. The meeting is adjourned as of 7:36 p.m.